GM Adrian, good
GM.
morning. Are you excited?
Yeah, huge day.
Huge day.
We get
Huge day.
DWR.
We have DWR coming on like in about 50 seconds. So let's get to it. I'm going to throw up the intro. We'll be back in 40 seconds, and then we're bringing up Dan Romero. So go look for us on Twitter, on YouTube, and let's get and retweet all our things. All right, see you in a minute. Welcome to GM Farcaster, bringing you everything from breaking news to spicy memes to the deep lore shaping this vibrant digital community. More than just a show, GM Farcaster is your digital third space where the community connects, the stories unfold, and the culture thrives. Whether you're a daily caster or just dropping by, we've got the latest buzz to keep you plugged in. So grab your coffee and let's dive in with your hosts, Nanish Prof and Adrian, for another episode of GM Farcaster. GM Farcaster. It is Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. And you are here with Nanish Prof and Adrian for 29 minutes of Farcaster news to start your day. But before that, we're going to bring on up Dan Romero. Welcome, Dan. Welcome back, yeah. I should say. Welcome back.
Glad to be back.
Excited to have you here, but you're coming to us from the new booth.
Yeah, this is the call booth.
The call booth. Exciting. It's very big. We need some decor in the background.
Call booth. But we need to get a rug because now everyone downstairs can still hear me, especially because I'm really loud.
And some artwork.
Artwork.
It's
We need a little something.
Plant, maybe a plant.
Yeah. A plant or two, some artwork. Get Ted on that. We need something in the background. I mean, you've got incredible Farcaster artists. I think they could come through with some cool things for sure. So we're excited to have you here. Adrian, where do you want to start? Where should we start? What do you want to ask first? Where do we want to start? There's so much happening.
I know, Dan, I was saying earlier in the year, I'm like, come on once a month and keep us updated. I think it's been 2 months. I think it was like pre-Linda, Ted, Woj, Slope joining.
We did the live one in ETH Denver. So
that's true.
Yeah,
we did the live one with Ted at ETH Denver for like a few minutes. Yeah, that's true. But that was the last time we saw you.
I was just asking my husband about his Twitter algorithm. I'm like, are you seeing anything about Farcaster on your Twitter? Because I go on Twitter and it's like literally every post is people joining Farcaster. So I'm like, this is either my own little siloed niche and it's not really happening, or like, is there a wave? What's happening?
What are you seeing?
Yeah. Well, how does it feel?
Well, so I think we've upped our game in terms of big quotes marketing on Twitter. We have a social media intern running the Farcaster XYZ Twitter account. It's gotten some Yeah, we have an intern.
Yes.
But I think we've gotten some good feedback that the account is appropriately kind of Gen Z coded, or I guess social media intern coded.
Yeah,
it's got its own vibe. Propagating the memes, just kind of mixing it up. But I think that there's just a general, when you have compounding progress, and we've increased the size of our team by 50%, so now we're actually doing even more stuff. That bleeds out. People, especially in a bear market, are like, well, is there anything positive happening? And to have kind of weekly progress happening over on Farcaster, it's kind of that Squidward SpongeBob meme where people are kind of looking through the window being like, what are they doing over there? Why are they having fun? Why are they tipping each other? I think that is the single biggest thing to kind of grow a social network. I think there's a lot of opinions on Farcaster as to what we should be doing. But the reality is that if you just look at every social network, with maybe the exception of TikTok, which we could talk about, they all grow just through word of mouth. Like ultimately the people on the social network convince other people to join because it's fun or great, right? Not all apps are like that. There are other apps out there, like Uber is a completely different growth. But I think with social network, the people is the product in terms of like why people want to come and why they want to stay. And I think that has been working pretty well for us. I think we have a long ways to go, right? Like, I don't think we've really unlocked a lot of sign-up growth in the scheme of things. I think we've done a lot of reactivations, and Ted has been doing a ton of, kind of in the trenches, hand-to-hand combat type stuff, onboarding journalists, onboarding different on-chain ecosystems. Crypto the Game obviously was like a really great tie-in and a really great reactivation, but I don't think we've found that kind of like one growth vector, and we're going to keep looking for that. That's our job.
I loved the Crypto the Game moment, where it was really funny because Octant had said right before it started, oh, it's going to be really quiet around here during Crypto the Game. Good time to get on the rewards leaderboard. And I'm like, I don't think so this time. And it wasn't at all. It definitely kind of took over the feed in the best way. It was so fun. So it was great to see that kind of happen, and then see Dylan recognize and even write about like that shift. And I think those kind of moments are amazing use cases for channels. And the fact that you guys were boosting that, I think, was helpful too. So I'd love to see more of that during those kind of, when there's a moment, when there's something happening that could get a little more attention, that's also going to drive new users or reactivate people too. I think it's great. So in other words, when cast out happens, love to see the same thing.
We're happy to do that from the cast out channel and do the same thing that we did. So
I'd love to see we need a Merkle team. We need a Merkle tribe playing. We'll see if we can get some of them play. They may not
probably get one or two. But yeah.
They may not have time.
We got a lot of like stuff we're pretty heads down on right now.
Dylan's gonna play, by the way.
So cast out Dan is one of the best ways to pressure test frames.
It is, actually. We've had a lot of load testing that happened and breaking things during cast out. So
nice.
as Horsefacts can attest, we broke Yoink a couple times in a couple different ways. What are you looking forward to in the next couple months? Even, I know we've got FarCon coming up, Coinbase Wallet activation soonish. Like, what are you kind of heads down thinking about and preparing for in terms of that?
Yeah, so obviously FarCon coming up, that's going to be an amazing opportunity to see a bunch of people in person. And I think, there's a couple of days worth of events. Not everything is just at the main thing on Friday. I think, so there are going to be opportunities. The whole team from Merkle will be in town for a few days. I think we're also doing something on Saturday too, just in case people who are in town or didn't get a chance to go. So I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities to kind of connect with other people on Farcaster in person, which is great. And I think URL to IRL still very much is a powerful component of what makes us a little different, right? It's interesting. Like Blue Sky had a conference, I think. They have 30 million, 34 million users. They had 150 people show up.
Wow.
So like in terms of the density of the core part of the network and people who actually want to hang out, I think like Farcaster does really, really well relative to our size. But I think the just like opportunity to kind of see everyone once a year, like I think has a ripple effect in terms of just like the kind of long-term vibe and retention of the network, which I think is really important. That said, I think we have three kind of main priorities for like what we're working on. And the first is we're improving mini apps and kind of like crypto UX, which includes wallet. That's like the most people on our team. That's what we're heads down on. And the idea is that that's the differentiating thing for us, which I actually think if you go back to what we talked about last FarCon, it's like grow with crypto, create cozy corners, developer Legos. I think those roughly mean the same thing. I think cozy corners might be the one where we've had to change it a bit, but like to go through that, grow with crypto, that is mini apps, that is wallet, making that just like a better experience. You probably saw we have the minimized mini apps.
Yes, love.
You could actually have a live stream that is running on kind of the app while you're kind of browsing. So like all of that stuff is brand new. We're going to continue to improve that UX. I think that the second priority is, you call it like the social pod of teams or people on the team. And that is very much focused on growth, and specifically onboarding a new user experience is where we're spending a lot of time. And so the big thing that's going to happen here, unlocked actually by Snapchain in the background, but is we're optimistic that we can significantly reduce the cost of signups, which just allows two things. One, we can make that signup experience feel more like a Web2 social app, which I think is actually important, right? It's like 50% of people hit the payment screen and they don't move forward. So you're effectively doubling growth, more or less, if you don't have to pay. And then I think a second component of that is there are a lot of apps in crypto that have a bunch of existing users that when they think about paying $2 per user, they're going to be like, that's just not feasible. Whereas in a world where you're kind of at a tenth of that, 20 cents a user, for example, or even cheaper, people might just say, hey, okay, you know what? I'm going to take my existing user base and kind of like seamlessly in place, add an FID for all of them. And now they can participate on the network. And that's actually something that we are figuring out with Base. And a lot of the heavy lifting and kind of like solving the edge cases and technical stuff at the protocol level that we do for Base to kind of get the protocol ready for an app that has, on the order of, millions of monthly active users, right? So like an order of magnitude larger than where Farcaster is today. I think that will be a great case study. And you could see other apps that have their existing user bases kind of consider to, integrate Farcaster at some level. And then the last one is just, there's a bunch of stuff that's happening behind the scenes on the protocol, right? Snapchain's like a huge upgrade to just like the scalability of the protocol. I don't know if you guys remember last year, like Supercast, Woj was like having a lot of frustration of like, he was behind the network. And a lot of that was just, he grew so fast and so much, the system we had put in place just wasn't keeping up. And so Snapchain is a significant upgrade to everything. And we're optimistic that can give us, pretty significant headroom to scale and then enable things where we can actually lower the cost of signups, knowing that when you do lower the cost of signups, you're going to have more kind of like spammy type users signing up. You're going to have good users too, but like, I think that like, that's one of the considerations is like, you just don't want to open up the floodgates and then have the network get overwhelmed. And so having that kind of scalable, like foundational infrastructure in place, it's not something that an everyday person on Farcaster sees,
right?
But like you're going to feel it in the sense that the network will just work, other apps will work. That is like foundational. So getting that right. So those are the things that I'm most
you feel it when it doesn't work. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. We remember.
Dan, and kind of an engineering question about protocol and kind of hubs to Snapchain and I think I know the answer, but I want to hear what you say, is solving for distributed system social network at a protocol level. Is that a solved problem?
No, because I think that like no one has done this actually at sufficient scale. I mean, you just look at the major social networks, they're many orders of magnitude larger in terms of just like daily active users than where Farcaster is. And if you look at the architecture of all of the kind of decentralized social, we're the only one that is kind of approaching it more like a blockchain. So this idea of like global state, like there is no kind of like walled garden of data. Whereas contrast to some of the other networks like an AT Proto, Blue Sky, or Mastodon, Fediverse type thing, they're federated, which is like permissive, but like there's a lot of like at scale questions around like, how do I get access to all the data so that I can like run an app? Like, can you cut me off? Like there's like a bunch of architectural decisions that allow them to scale very well right now. But then at some level of scale, do you run into like the email oligopoly problem where if you've ever tried to boot up a new domain and send emails from, like if Amazon and Google don't trust your domain and there's really no way to kind of like make it work, you go to spam. And it's like this like whole opaque process to kind of make that work. That effectively will happen, in my view, at any sufficient scale with any federated system, just because like it's just actually economically not feasible by that design to just like have like super permissive open APIs. And then there's like kind of this weird incentive. Whereas I think with Farcaster, one of the constraints we've said is like you have to have the data be available in the same way that it is available on a blockchain, which there are a lot of hard engineering problems to solve for there. But if we do it, like, I mean, just look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, like that does work at sufficient scale, both in terms of data, number of people who can connect to it and stuff like that. And so I think we are making a lot of progress there, but like to get to a world where you have hundreds of millions of daily active users on a distributed system like Farcaster, I think there's still some pretty gnarly computer science level problems to solve in the future.
All right, cool. And there was some questions about like with the Coinbase Wallet integration and assuming that that will scale up signups. Are we ready for that with Snapchain, or will we be?
Yeah, so we'll be ready. I think there's like a combination of like, think about it as like signups themselves are actually not that stressful in the scheme of things.
Yeah,
it's signed up users who are using the kind of like
we're actually using it.
Yeah, we don't have like block space in the sense of like a blockchain,
right.
but like you can effectively think of it as like there's only so much storage on Snapchain at any given point. Like you can increase that, but it creates more complexity for the system. There's only so much bandwidth. There's only so much like, literally the like read write of like every cast, every reaction coming into it, like an actual server, right? Like that is like TPS is the way people think about like blockchain, and like Solana's like big thing is like they want to get to some crazy number of TPS. But I think with Farcaster, we're confident that Snapchain can handle about 1,000 TPS, which is like, okay. And then I think like there's headroom to get to probably somewhere on the order of like 9,000 with the existing architecture and system. And then there are other scaling techniques there, but like that's a lot of activity on the network relative to where we are today, which I actually don't.
Yeah, I liked it when V said, this will help us go between 10 and 100x. And I'm like, that's a kind of a big range. I'm like, where exactly?
Yeah, I think it's hard because you don't know how the systems play out, like the shape of the behavior.
Yeah.
It's everyone has it's like Mike Tyson. It's like everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. It's like everyone has an idea of scalability until like people actually start using the system, and then like you get weird usage patterns.
Load testing.
Like, I didn't actually think people would do this. Right. So.
We didn't know you were going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a couple other questions that came from casts that are out there. Linda had casted, what do you believe is the single highest impact thing that the Warpcast team could do or build to grow mini apps? Lots of interesting answers here. What did you take from some of those replies, or what are you all thinking about in terms of that?
Yeah. So I think that we ask those types of questions all the time just to kind of like gut check of like what we're thinking. And you can think of it as like, there's a combination of we live and use the app every day, right? Like I'm a pretty active user, right? So beyond just like mini apps, just like any feedback. Then there's the stuff that we have surfaced in the past, like anecdotes via like a DM or a cast or a bug report or stuff that, we're annoyed with. And then those kind of casts are always useful because it can just like surface up a chance of like something that we might have missed, or like, something that gets a ton of engagement. It's like, maybe we should like kind of double click, send a follow-up message, etc. I think with mini apps, if I was to kind of like look at that, there are some tactical things that are improvement, but if I was just to kind of like stack rank what's the most important thing, it's docs have been like a thing that we just like have never really invested in and been great at. And I think we're at a stage where we're getting a lot of feedback from developers in the ecosystem. Like users is the thing that they want more than anything else. But if you were to ask the second thing, it's like this idea of like stability, which everyone has a different definition for that. But ultimately, I think that is like commit to like actually having really solid docs. When you change things, like make sure that that's clear, like an easy place to find that. And then I actually think that there's a big aspect of like, we've done a lot of talking to new developers in the ecosystem. Having Linda on the team has been phenomenal for that. You see someone saying like, oh, I'm launching this thing on chain on Twitter. You can slide into their DMs on Twitter being like, hey, have you thought about doing that as a mini app?
I just did that. I just did that yesterday with somebody who was launching something. Yeah, exactly.
What is the actual URL that you're sending to that person? Because I think like mini apps to Farcaster.xyz is like pretty good relative to where we were. But honestly, it's still a little bit like there's a lot going on there. And it's like, well, like what is the single artifact that you send to someone that clicks? Like, why mini apps? So the stuff that Linda's doing in terms of this video content, but also like within kind of a 30-second or 60-second overview, you can understand like what is a mini app? What is the opportunity? Like how many total users are there? Like how many funded wallets? Like what kind of transactions can I expect? This idea of like get to your first 1,000 users. That I think is like nailing that. And so again, to put the big scare quotes of marketing, it's product marketing for a developer platform, right?
Right.
It's like, what is this thing? Why should I care? And how much work does it take in order to get the benefit? Like, and making that as clear as possible is, I think, like a big priority for us. And then there's all these just like little paper cuts. Actually, one thing, Varun built a mini app last week. I don't know if he's planning to release it, but like he actually sat down for 2 days. I think he was like 3 feet away from me, but like went through our own docs, you know, and
Good.
he's like familiar enough, but like can shift to a mode of like, pretend that I don't know anything about this ecosystem, like read this through the lens of like, you know, kind of a new incoming person. And so as a result of that, like we had just have like a zillion little improvements and like copy edit changes that like help understand concepts. And actually one of the reasons we changed from frames to mini apps, Linda talking about people that just like, what's a frame? Like, I don't know. And then the people who knew what a frame was, but haven't been in the ecosystem, they're thinking of frames as the V1, whereas V2 is akin to Telegram. And I think like, it's just like, you, as much as frames is like good branding for Farcaster, I'm partial to that because it's there. It's just like, make the hard decision, move to mini apps, just simplify and keep going.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense.
And are you, the way you describe the docs you're working on, which is really kind of on the marketing side, it's the what, the why. Are you focusing on the how? Like if you have like how to quickly convert, you have an existing app, how do you turn that into a frame? Here's like kind of almost like in the tutorial, here are like the quick hello world style apps.
Yes. So 2 things here. One, we've actually on this passive docs, we actually put an LLM text file, like which is like kind of in vogue right now, so that you can drop this into Cursor or, you know, Claude Code or whatever you're doing. That actually like helps a lot for people in the sense that a lot of people's like first way of like building now is like, I don't need to read your docs, like just let my AI read them for me and get started. I think the second thing, and this has been a big hobby horse of mine, is HorseFacts actually did a YouTube video. And again, this is a little bit of packaging in terms of like, we could feature this better. When we launched V2 in December, where live coding on a like YouTube video in less than 10 minutes, he was able to convert Uniswap, which has an open source app, to a frame or, you know, now mini app. I think that as an artifact, going back to this idea of like, what is the one thing you share with people? There's two types. There's the person who's getting started on an idea that you probably want to show. It's like, get up and running really fast with your idea, prototype, and like, great. And then there's another thing where, hey, I've built this crypto website, this mint site, this like whatever, base paint, like pick your favorite. How can I go from website to mini app in the least amount of time possible, which actually it's not that much work, but like we have to explain the core concepts, like what are you doing? And effectively you can think of it as just like taking your website and making it, you know, mobile optimized. In this case, it's mini app optimized. And so getting that nailed, I think, is a really core part of this like work.
I think it makes so much sense to, I had somebody yesterday telling me they're launching something in May. And by the way, Adrian, they're coming on. That's the thing I added to the calendar. And immediately I was like, well, you need a mini app for this. Like, it's obvious it's a game. It's a mint. You're minting an NFT, then you're playing a game. It's like, okay, well, that easily fit into a mini app. And so I've, you know, said, hey, you should talk to Linda, tagged him on that post. It just makes a lot of sense. So I think you're just going to see more and more of that. Like, of course, why wouldn't you have, you know, access to this audience in such an easy way? So especially if it's something you can just plug and play in 10 minutes, you know, that's a no-brainer.
To be super, like, I think like, you know, obviously Samuel has been giving feedback on this for a really long time. JC4P, like all the amazing frames,
incredible
now mini apps like created, and then feedback on like, hey, these are the paper cuts. Like I've you know, built dozen mini apps at this point. Like, here are the frustrating parts. Like, team is really trying to take that feedback and be like, how can we squash as many of these pain points and make it as easy as possible? And we're not out of the woods, but like, it is very much a priority for us, and we really appreciate the feedback.
I also wanted to touch on this sort of the growing Farconomy, first with rewards, then with tipping, and seeing how this is all sort of working together. This was fungible. talking about Farcaster gives me 10. I tip 10 Farcaster friends $1. I get $1 tips from 10 friends on Farcaster. I spend $10 buying things on Farcaster. And I see this playing out just myself in doing these things. And it's really interesting to now see more people talking about it on Twitter, talking about it in general, memeing it. And what are you seeing? What are you hearing? Is this going where you want it to go? Are there other ideas you have around sort of this sort of bar economy building, and how can we help with that?
Yeah, so I put out a cast in the fall. I think it was like make money, then friends, and it was a little controversial, and I had a bunch of people give me opinions and be like, I'm not here for the money, or like that I find that distasteful, or like I'm only here for the money. I think the reality is Farcaster is a choose your own adventure. Like you can come and use Farcaster as strictly and I think Woj actually had a good cast about this today, even this morning.
Yes, he did.
Where he basically is like,
I had it ready.
The version. It's like, you can be here. It's like strictly economic. Like all the plumbing is there. All of these different things. You can be using warp slot every day, like participating in eggs, like hoping the rewards happen, get tips. Great. Okay, that's like the extreme. Like you're only there for the money. And then the other person is like posting in a solo channel milady memes for like literally like it's insane. Like the collection of memes is like, but like pick the version you want. And there's a lot of dials that you can do, like in terms of like Flash, like if you don't like meme coins, just put a $sign in your mute button and you will literally never see a meme coin on Farcaster in your feed. Like again, period. And here's the thing. The reveal preference of this is I don't actually think people want that because they know that there's that one thing that maybe that they want to participate in.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, okay, so you've gone from like principled, I don't think that this is good, to, well, I don't want to completely remove my optionality.
Yep.
And so I think it's just like, it's an emergent new kind of social network. There's actually a really good clip. I think I shared it last night. Packy, who I've known for a really long time, and has been on Farcaster for a while, and then Alex Danko, who I've known for a while and is also on Farcaster. We're talking in a very long podcast that had nothing to do with Farcaster, brought up the fact that Farcaster is this like emergent behavior, weird kind of frontier of the internet where, you can talk about whatever's happening on like traditional social networks, but the reality is like you can just speedrun things, and like all the stuff that happens on Farcaster, it's permissionless, it's programmable. Like you can kind of do this. Everyone has a wallet, so you do get things like Degen and Moxie and eggs, and then you have all these mini apps and waifu frame, like everything that kind of like pops up, right? And so I think for us it's about kind of increasing the velocity of money is a thing that people talk about in the economy. I think that's actually a really important thing for Farcaster, and I think tips, the feature that kind of Woj worked on here, and Blockheim, in terms of, she's always doing all the design, but in terms of like the important thing to think about is if people get used to doing transactions daily in a kind of social way, right? And that social spectrum can have the non-speculative stuff, tips, like literally just sending a couple of dollars as kudos appreciation, or buying something like eggs, right? And then like playing that. But the point is that you're actually building a user base where you can have like actually daily transacting users, like in terms of like the social network. And that is unique. There is no other social network where you're, again, scale's not quite there, but at the same time, like the percentage of the kind of like core of the network that is transacting every single day and trying new things, that is the thing to make the bet on. And going back all the way to our priorities, mini apps and wallet is the differentiation for us. And so metas and weird social kind of things that come through, like the on-chain personality test is a great example. I think like, and one of the reasons we're actually pushing so hard on developer rewards that reward on-chain transactions is, to me, that's what make mini apps actually unique, is there's some on-chain component, whether it's you're paying the developer because you enjoyed the experience, or there's some collectible with it, or there's some other kind of mechanic with it. I think that is really critical. And then really tying onboarding to, you can kind of think of it as like, we have to get you in. So make it as easy as possible to sign up, get you a good feed, because I actually think that is the single biggest thing that's going to create some level of retention. And even if you churn and you come back 6 months later, that initial feed load that you open up based on that first time you signed up is actually pretty important. But once you have that, the next two things, we need to get you using mini apps to show you this differentiated stuff. And then we need to get money in your wallet. And so like those three things, it's like feed, or, sign up, feed, mini app, wallet. Like that is the mantra internally of like, how do we get every user through that?
And the mini apps can be the thing that makes it sticky for some people too. We know there's people who they started showing up every day because they're playing Farcade or Farville or whatever. And that makes a huge, huge difference. I know you have to go, but I have to ask you this because this was really funny. This is from Eric. This would have been a perfect weekend for a Moment of Zen episode. I miss it. Stares into the distance. Anytime, coming back anytime?
I'm here, right? I'm my budget for podcasting is 100% focused on Farcaster. I may come out of retirement at some point in my life for podcasting, but it probably isn't soon. I have
well, anytime.
3 kids under 4 and a startup.
I figured that was part of it.
So like, I really don't have much time.
I have to tell you though, I have used the Moz with Brian Armstrong in class. So that was an assignment for my students a couple of weeks ago, where they had to watch that and pull out 3 interesting things. And the thing that they commented most about was the fact that he got a tutor for biology. And they thought that was like so interesting that somebody at that level would still be learning new things in that way. And I was like, see?
I think it's actually more common than you'd think. Like my wife actually, not billionaire Brian Armstrong, but like, I think she was starting to kind of get interested in nuclear. She was between jobs. She found a physics grad student, which by the way, like grad students, they don't need that much money to do something. And really, really nice person, and basically helped tutor her some like kind of physics stuff oriented towards nuclear and nuclear engineering. And then she ended up starting a nuclear company with a, kind of like someone who's deeper in that space. But like, I think it's like a very underrated thing. I do think AI is probably going to like basically make it so that everyone can have that, which is great. Like then it's like, it'll cost you $20 a month in a ChatGPT subscription. But the idea of like, and obviously you're a professor, so you probably appreciate this, but like, most people stop going to school. Yeah. And then like, they never interact with like another professional person. Maybe you have like a tennis coach or something but like the reality is like coaching is great. Like, you actually get better, a lot better faster because someone who knows what they're talking about is critiquing and giving you advice. I
think the lifelong learning thing is what I really tagged into that too. It's like, this is important. And I loved that the students picked up on that. And I think that was a huge lesson for them. I know you have to go. Adrian, anything else last minute? Quick.
When is Warpcast turning into Farcaster?
Good question.
So I don't think we've made a decision there. And I think we still kind of do it as an FIP and walk through it. I think we wanted to kind of put the trial balloon out there and just kind of see opinions. I think generally, I would say most people who are building in the ecosystem focused on like growing users, anything that simplifies and like makes it easier for people to onboard. And all of the kind of like interviews we've done a month in on some of these creators that I'm with Ted, so they're all super confused still about Warpcast and Farcaster. So like you can say all you want about decentralization and principles and whatever. I think the reality is it's extremely confusing for normal people, and we need more normal people to sign up for Farcaster and use Farcaster in order to make the thing valuable. That said, I think like we want to kind of think through all the pieces and then get input. As despite popular belief, we do actually seek input from people when we are kind of thinking about big decisions.
We see it. All right. We know you have to go. We will see you at FarCon. We'll be up in the little media space. Come visit us and we'll chat then.
See ya.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Dan. And we're hanging out, everyone.
Yeah.
So
nobody leave.
Everybody stay here. Now we can talk about Dan.
That was great. I love it when he pops by. I feel like I get energized by it. So I'm very excited. And we have a few other things to talk about. I want to jump into like related to this. You're getting an autograph. Good. You'll be there doing autographs. From us or from Dan? We'll also sign autographs. This was really cool to see. 1,537 unique users have received a weekly USDC reward. And I didn't get to show this while he was on, but I loved this meme so much from Ramsey. Hey, at least we're getting paid, right? Can you believe some people get more than $25 a week to cast here? I only get 10. What do you mean you get 10? I only get 5. 5. Best I got was 3. And then you guys are getting paid. It's perfect meme. Perfect meme. Just have to just, I mean, perfection. If you're only listening to this, please go look at the screen really quick because you have to see it to understand it, but it's really good. Love all the things we're seeing from the rewards this week, and then people then tipping, and combining those two things worked really well, I feel like. Let me grab this. So this was I just tipped, and I added the sum of as well. They need to just add the sum of in there for us. Because I keep adding it as well. This from Android 16.
Dan tipped 100 people.
Oh, did he really? Ooh, I didn't even know.
Yeah, Dan tipped 100 people, and I'm not doing that. So it's just sum up.
Sum up. I tipped like 21, I think. And I couldn't get it to work last night. And I think I was like, oh no, did I break it again? And then it worked for me this morning. So I thought I was going to have to, and I literally got a error message that said DM Woj. And I'm like, okay, it's like DMing Woj again. Like, jeez. But it worked this morning. This from Android 16. Between the rewards and tips, the FC economy really comes alive on Tuesdays. This feels distinct from my experience in other social products, particularly the relationships strengthened by economic bonds. Where else can you show up and have your internet friends be telling you in cold hard cash that they value you? That is very nice. I do love that. And that's been happening even with Degen, even before this moment. So this is just making it much easier to recognize who is actually interacting with you. And I've loved that. That's been super helpful to give me that quick understanding of what's happening. But she stole your thunder, Adrian.
It's good. The important message is getting out.
It's getting out.
The meme is spreading. And
it's spreading.
It makes me happy.
This is from Triumph. A serious note, tips are sweet and fun, but I get it might be a bummer if you don't receive any. If this is you, please know you sharing your thoughts and parts of yourself here really is appreciated. It matters far more than $1 tip. Shout out to the ever thoughtful homie Erica for first bringing up this point. Well, I don't know if it was first, but
but
okay.
Being first isn't your worth either.
Isn't your worth. So Adrian, what do we say here just to clarify and put an exclamation point on it?
A nice little reminder of, regardless of whether you're being tipped or not, that is not where your worth comes from. Because I should make some eye contact. You are good enough. You are smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like you.
People like you. Don't forget that, DeWoofy. Don't forget that. A few other fun things on this topic. This from Wow Bestie. I posted. You casted, Wow Bestie. You casted. Let's be clear about that. They gave me $100. I whispered thank you. This is good, but I'll have to reply on this and correct her really quickly, but I'll tip her while I'm at it. This from Sonia, supposedly, I'm pregnant, gonna have another baby. All the first trimester suffering will be worth it if this announcement affects my Warpcast rewards rank. So
what?
So I'm gonna even recast that. Go like that one. That was kind of fun.
Don't like it. She's at 69 likes.
Oh, don't like it then. Don't ruin it.
Let her.
So I thought that.
Congratulations, Sonia.
Hey, congratulations, Sonia. And also, let's help with those diapers are expensive. This from Matthew B. The plan: contribute
especially
regularly.
If they're not made in America.
Especially, it's going to be really expensive. Jesus. This is might be time to switch to those ones you can wash, but also the plan: contribute regularly to a sufficiently decentralized network of builders and early adopters called Farcaster, and use the money earned from a Warpcast rewards leaderboard to purchase a Bosch dishwasher. This was commenting on Briley's. I just want enough Farcaster rewards so I can buy a dishwasher. Love it. Already showed this. I love this. so many fun things. And this was from Woj about tips are live. 2 changes this week. Tips are now visible on your earnings page. Select all button for Chads like Jacob. And a lot of small fixes that I hope you will not notice, which I thought that was interesting. So tipping is live. It's going now at the same day as when the Warpcast rewards are out there on Tuesdays. So that was a nice little switch. All right. Hold on. Now I got to switch over to my other set of links. Yes, there are more. Yes, it's true.
Okay.
It's that kind of day.
While you're doing that, I really liked how what Dan said about increasing the velocity of money and what that, like the impact, right? So make it super easy and fast to exchange value throughout the network. And we're seeing that. I've never heard that term before. I don't think he invented it, but I have it just reminded me of like removing friction from transactions. Like, which, physics lesson. When you remove friction, it increases the velocity.
Yeah.
So
I had some interesting conversations too with people about how they're, kind of not complaining, but they're making comments about like, oh, I never get that much, and like, oh, how are you getting that many people? And it's like, oh, I know what it was too. It was on the comment from Seneca commented about being in 400 and he was very excited. And I just commented back, if I'm under 200, chances are I'm dead. And it's honestly just because I spend so much time here that I cast a lot. So there is casting a lot, but there's also casting things that are that other people find interesting. It's not like, and I don't want to say it's not hard. It can be hard to find your audience. Like look at JRS, who I literally kept promoting his stuff, who's one of the coaches at University of Florida basketball. I'm like, he is casting some really cool things and nobody's seeing it because he doesn't have enough followers. But then he ended up in the top 10 this week. So there you go. That's what it took. And he still doesn't have that many followers. But because so many of us were like, hey, you guys got to see this. This is very cool. So that's another way you can help people who maybe don't have as big of a reach. If you have a larger reach, if you were early, cast your favorites. I love the Follow Friday idea. Shout out to whoever you think is interesting that other people might be missing. So, so there you go. So JRS ended up with, I think I casted about him. I don't even know how many times, and he ended up higher on the leaderboard than I did. So there you go. Abundance. All right. Couple more things. This from Emma about FarCon, introducing your FarCon 2025 community talks. And by the way, if you didn't know, even if you're not at FarCon, all of these talks are going to be available afterwards. So you won't have to miss anything. So this is this was a vote that was taken, and these are the 6 who won. Again, if you were not chosen, it's not your worth. You're still good enough, smart enough, and people like you. Making mini apps go viral by Lemon.eth. That's Farville, from Farville fame, among other things. The Farcaster Flywheel by Phil. Amps. There you go. Ship a Network, Not a Product by Jihad. Decentralized AI needs a rebrand, less idealism, more incentives by YB. DACC, Accelerating with Intention by Tayab. Building on Farcaster, a 1-year tale of serving Farcaster companies by Samuel Huber. Some clear themes here. Thank you to everyone who submitted a talk and voted this year. Can't wait to see these talks and then rewatch them in perpetuity online. And I feel like Lamone, Phil, and Samuel could be like a panel. Just a thought. Like, I feel like they would have some interesting things to play off of each other. So maybe just a thought for Emma. But what did you think of the talks? Are you excited?
On the plane when I was traveling back on Sunday, I read through all 35. I was like, yep, would watch. All so good. And I'm, the community has spoken.
The community has spoken, and coming soon to a FarCon near you. For more fun content is the On-Chain Creator House that's going to be happening the same day as Builders Day. So if you are not a dev, This is going to be a really fun place for you to hang. The second round of approvals for applicants to On-Chain Creator House NYC will be going out at the end of the week. Make sure to apply soon to participate in the largest on-chain creator residency in New York. Participants will have 24 hours to complete challenges designed by our partners, Base, Farcaster, Rodeo.club, Pods, Lil Nouns, and more TBA. So if you are a creator or just interested in maybe developing those skills, even if you're maybe not doing that regularly, like at an Afro Chicks level, go check this out. I think this is going to be really fun, and you can go apply. Just check out Humpty's cast here. I'm going to try to go to all the places on that day, and I haven't exactly figured out how that's all going to work. Adrian's going to be just hanging at Builders Day, hopefully creating an amazing GM Farcaster mini app.
I'm not going to be just hanging.
She's going to be hacking.
I am going to be hands on keyboard, vibe coding something. Just, I like this in the chat, Humpty, too much dev vibes, need more creator vibes, and
Exactly.
Lucid really want creators to vibe code mini apps. So
there you go.
There was always that separation. It's like, are you a dev? Like early on Farcaster, it's like you needed more content, but then it was like, focus on the devs, we'll create apps. By the way, that was the meta 2 years ago, was we need lots of clients. You need lots of clients, attract devs so you can get lots of clients that will attract more users, and you kind of have that virtuous cycle. What we've learned over the years, you may or may not agree with this conclusion, is that the app developers are not well funded enough, and it's difficult to grow that way. So then the shift had focused to frames, V1, which were not very dynamic and couldn't do that much with, to now mini apps. So within the largest client. So, and even 2 years ago, the ability to do like vibe, like the AIs were just coming out, you couldn't really code. So now we used to always talk about there was too much love for devs, not enough love for creators. And now we got love for everybody.
I think we've got a lot more love for creators now, but we still need more, right? We still need more. We need to make it easier, and we need to make distribution easier for people to find all of us. So, but we're getting there. And I think that's what mini apps will help with as well. The Pods mini app's amazing. Stream, I saw you in here. Another app that's amazing. And those are a little bit easier to support. You've already got some support built in with the developer rewards, but also like the cost isn't probably going to be as significant as running a client. So it's going to make it a little easier to continue longer term. So very cool. And Paragraph. Yes, Paragraph is great as well. I love Paragraph. Okay, a few more things. This from Aneri from Base, getting lots of questions about mini apps in the new Coinbase Wallet. Here are the two most common. One, how do we partner with you to get included? You don't need to. The beauty of using open primitives like mini apps is that there's no gatekeeper. If your app is built to the spec, it will show up in Coinbase Wallet, no partnership required. Two, will my app work well? Great question. And the honest answer is not always. Many popular ones we are testing today do not work. These apps slightly deviate from the spec in the way that it breaks UX. We're publishing best practices next week and hosting sessions to help make sure that your app works well out of the box. We also recommend MiniKit as on-chain kit to help to make sure your mini app works well. If you're building a mini app and have questions about the new Coinbase Wallet, drop them below. So they just released this mini kit to help you create your mini app and have it be compatible with what's Coinbase Wallet is going to be integrating. So Zoe is helping with this a lot. So hit her up or comment here on Aneri's cast. Any thoughts on that? Very cool to see them like leaning in for sure.
Very cool. Yeah.
Have you checked out the mini kit?
And I also just love how, no, I haven't, but I just love how, like, even in our ecosystem, how often we have to be reminded what permissionless means. Yeah. Like, we're just so trained to like, hey, reach out to someone. How do we partner? And it's like permissionless partnerships are super cool.
Yeah.
Like
Just
you
just
can
do it.
yeah.
You can just do it.
So
This from
shout out Bert.
Oh, go ahead.
Before,
Yes.
just so you know, I am trying to engage with the chat, and Bertwurst asked, could we define vibe coding?
Go ahead.
And I was just tagging. No, GMFC 101, our bot answered it yesterday. So I was just tagging Bertwurst
cool.
in the feed to answer it. So look for that. And Bertwurst got an ENS. So congratulations. The puppy is getting more on chain. Because I just tried to search for mumups. Look, it's not mumups anymore.
It's not mumups anymore. Mumups has now changed to Bertwurst for sure. For real. So Bertwurst.eth, who is our emotional support animal for all of Farcaster. So there you go. And honestly, I was going through the cast that we curated for today, and I think half of them were Bert. So I pulled back a little bit, but so speaking of Bert, this was from Bert. In honor of Waka Flocka joining Farcaster, my next step in my music journey is listening to For My Dogs by Waka Flocka for the first time. I went in expecting hype. I came out feeling understood. This is not just a song. This is an anthem, a lifestyle, a loyalty pack. So Bert actually watching. This was everything. Absolutely everything.
Bert is making my dog look so untalented and dumb. My dog would never watch TV or a music video.
Like, I mean, Bert, you're putting all of our dogs to shame. And you're well deserving of, I know my dog's over there somewhere.
Of Warcast rewards, all of them.
Yeah. Ridiculous. So they're doing nothing. You're doing nothing for your treats over there, sir. Get to work, Mookie. And then this was really funny. Proof of Bert from my haters, because somebody said, write Farcaster name on paper and show with this dog. They didn't believe that the dog was real. So the dog is real. The dog is not AI.
I bet you could have AI make that video though. Just
maybe, but I think
just to throw some skepticism.
Bert is real. Couple other things really quick. This from Jesse Pollock. And there's a couple posts about this, but I picked the one with the that has been Giblified. Reminder, the base core team is hiring key roles, builder roles around the world, engineering, cross full stack protocol, smart contracts, design on both app and builder tools, finance, product, and data science too. So lots of things happening over there. If you are interested, go check that out. This was really fun. We tried out the FC audio chat the other day and then added some feedback to JC4P. The funniest thing was the bunching of the emojis, which I just thought was hilarious. They just kept collecting and it was really funny. But thanks to everybody who popped in. That was fun. We may have to do more of those soon. This I thought was just really cool. Split's team is cooking. And this was very cool to see. Paying contractors on chain as a U.S. company, automate your W-8-9 collection and 1099 issuance with Teams. So this is very cool to see. This is something like we've had to do this and, have to do it off chain and all those things. So go check out Splits if you are not familiar and you have a business that is operating on chain, because it is a super helpful tool that we are now using. Couple more things. Hold on. I got to switch to a whole different set of links. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, it's that kind of day. I was separating things out so I would be able to stay on top of things here. We have to shout out Octant. So Octant is our new premier partner. This is the first time you've been on since we've had the Octant sponsorship, because I launched it last week with
I missed it.
You missed it. You totally missed it.
I'm missing collecting cards, Degens.
Collecting all the freaking cards. So if you don't know what we're talking about, Octant team has been launching Degens and Dragons. It is a mintable card game, and they're only available for 1 week. So there's up to 5 cards now. Where's the 5th one? That's the 5th card today that just launched, I think, today. Yep. So I haven't sponsored this one yet, but I sponsored the one before it. I think is the one that is currently Oh, no, maybe it is this one. So what we're doing, yeah, it is this one. I did sponsor this one, and I did sponsor the one before it as well. So what that means is if you see that we've sponsored it, you can go claim it for free. Not just for a little bit of free. So if anything's been sponsored, you can go mint really quickly. Oh, here they go. They're going to be gone in a second. And pick that up totally for free, including gas. So very cool way to support the industry and support Octant, which does on-chain grants. So very cool organization, which they do using their 100 ETH that is staked. They use the yield and help fund public goods projects in the community, including GM Farcaster. So go check them out. They also have this that's happening. I don't know why you pulled it from there. Was it just not on Warpcast? I thought it was, but maybe not. We're excited to announce the projects of our climate round. This is from Octant. The selection process was detailed one where the folks at Climate Coordination Network, led by carefully vetting, interviewing, and using different scoring layers for the decision. Read the climate program team's reflections in the blog post linked at the end. And congratulations to all these winners. Allocations will be going out soon. So that was really cool to see as well. And they've also been working with our friend Naomi Afrochicks. She's been doing the Octant street interviews and doing trivia to onboard new folks to crypto, which she did with Base, just like permissionlessly, and now is doing it with Octant. So very cool to see. And this was from Afrochicks. I was onboarded to crypto in 2021 from a random Gary V TikTok and onboarded to Farcaster by an Alex Mazajum, I can't say that, Dracula dude, post that popped up on X. I would encourage people to keep posting on Web2 platforms because it actually can work with onboarding. So very cool to see this. Love the work that she does. Thank you, Naomi. You're amazing. And thank you, Octant, for sponsoring GM Farcaster. They're also going to be sponsoring Cast Out, which we talked about briefly, but lots of new things coming on that in a couple weeks. What else, Adrian? What did I miss?
On what topic?
Oh, exactly.
I mean,
Too many things. Whoops. I was looking to see if we were live on Abstract, and it looks like we disconnected, but I was trying to check to see if we were still going.
yeah, how is that going? Today I learned we're on Abstract.
We're on Abstract. I think we've had like people pop in and watch, but it's kind of hard to see if it's actually going. I think it was going and then it somehow stopped. So I'm restarting it. But anyway, focus, Adrian.
I'm looking at my notes.
There's a lot. I'm
so focused. I'm locked in.
There's a lot. This has been really fun. Thanks everybody for popping in. Adrian's going on vacation. So
we just talked for a whole hour without mentioning, maybe we mentioned tariffs in the beginning as a joke, but no mention of charts or tariffs, just building.
Not today. Yeah, just building.
For people who joined in the last half hour, and there's lots of you, we had Dan Romero, founder of Farcaster, on for the first half hour. So go back and watch that because that was really fun.
Really good. Yeah.
One thing he said, which was that we need more normal people on Farcaster. I'm curious how people feel about that. Agree, disagree? Am I not enough being the sole normal person on Farcaster?
You're not normal. Adrian is still insisting that she's normal. And then all you have to do is ask her what's in her wallet. No, let me rephrase that. What's in your Warplet? And the fact that you have an answer to that question and multiple interesting coins in there is enough. You're not normal anymore. Sorry.
I know. And I did onboard my friends last week and it didn't.
How'd that go?
Not well.
How'd that go? Not well. Not well. I was going to bring this up with Dan, but we didn't get a chance about speaking of the economy. I did like this cast from him. It's not a loss unless you realize it. In other words, if you don't sell, it's not a loss.
That's right. Paper gains, paper losses.
It's fine. It's fine.
I say don't ever mess with leverage. And this is like evergreen cast, related to any market.
Yeah. Unless you were messing with leverage, then GG. Because then you're screwed. I literally this is a great photo representation of said situation. So I literally was talking about that in class last night. I'm like, here's what's happening. See these people freaking out? They're leveraged.
Right.
Like, they're clearly leveraged. So we talked about margin calls on the stock side and leverage and all those things and tried to encourage them not to do that. All right. So Adrian's going on vacation. We are going to be off next week. I am going to be back Friday with the creators. So Ryan and Jordan are going to be joining me talking about what they're building with base creators and we'll do a quick little update on the news, of course, in the beginning. So that'll be Friday. We're going to be on at West Coast friendly time. So 11:30 again on Friday. And then we'll be off all next week, but we will be sharing some interviews. I'm going to clip some things together. And we'll have those going probably at 11:30 each day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just for shits and giggles. So that hopefully if you miss some of those things, they'll be playing on your feed. And there you go.
For people who need to hear our voice Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for habit. And then the week after is going to be a great week.
Amazing. Because
we're back. And we're getting closer to FarCon. So there's going to be just a lot of, I think, momentum and
Yeah. You can all go on vacation next week.
Yes.
It's allowed.
Last week, if you're keeping track, I was on vacation last week too. So life is good for me.
But I'm actually going to take a week off too this time. Sort of.
Last week I was skiing, which means not a lot of casting. This coming week, I'm going away with my family and I think I'm going to cast a ton.
Really? You think?
Yeah. So no live streaming, but I think I'm going to, because I'm doing a ton of touristy things and I feel
that'll
like
be fun for the feed.
The nerdy travel notes.
Yeah. Love that.
And
I was just about to hit that. I didn't realize gains.
But I just keep checking the currency charts of I'm going to England, and I'm
God, that's right.
I was like, the vacation just keeps getting more expensive because of the dollar.
I know.
Come on, I know.
If only you could pay. You could pay in
what?
In crypto. I know. I guess it doesn't matter right now.
It
doesn't matter.
Nope. Don't want to pay in crypto. Nope.
Not
realizing those losses.
No.
Anyway, yeah, I'm excited for a nice week off. I'll see you on Farcaster. So just say hi there.
And I'll be I'm going to be focusing on two things: stuff for FarCon and Cast Out, which Cast Out is going to launch after FarCon. So I'm going to try to get all that stuff organized and ready. And also taxes. I feel like I already did taxes, but I didn't because we did the other thing we had to do by March 15th. So I feel like I did them, but yet I did not. So
March 15th, if you have an LLC in the US, you have to file some forms by then. And April 15th is the date you actually have to pay your personal income taxes.
So that's the thing I need to do, or file an extension.
I file an extension.
Which is what I normally do and will do again. Good question. How do you play Cast Out? I'm going to be announcing that in 2 weeks. So look for the cast about that you'll be able to apply to play with a tribe, and more details on that coming. That's what I'm going to be prepping next week and have lots of info about that the following week. But you can follow the /castout channel on Warpcast for all the info. So coming soon, similar to Crypto the Game, but different. So there you go. All right. And with that, Adrian, have safe travels. Need a guide.
Are we actually getting new people? Welcome, everyone.
Fantastic.
I sometimes think people are trolling us.
They could be.
Like, you've got old friends. If you are new, because I know some Keiths, welcome to Warpcast. We got you. So watch our show, and we give you all the news about Farcaster. We also have a playlist called Farcaster 101, which is a 12 video series about Farcaster. And Farcaster changes fast, so some of the things will be out of date, but you'll get the gist. So check that out and let us know how it goes.
And we're not sure if you're serious, but Warpcast is the client for Farcaster, and we talked about it with Dan in the beginning of this show about them becoming the same. So also, if you're in the chat right now and you're on YouTube or X, and I can't believe I called it that, and you don't have the same name as you do on Farcaster, let us know who you are, because we'll tag and say hello and say thank you. And occasionally we do fun things for our chatters. So there you go. Need a mini app extension for taxes. Yeah. When that, for sure. Yes. Trisel, we know you. Y'all know me. We know you. We do know you. And sometimes you get shout outs on here. All right. With that, everybody, what? What? Breaking news? She made a face. Not Adrian face, different face.
I know. Nothing. We're gonna save this for another show.
Okay. All right. With that, everyone, very excited. This has been a great show. We'll probably replay the Dan interview next week on either Monday, probably on Monday. So we'll have that if you missed it, or you can watch the recording back. The recording is available right now on Twitter and YouTube. And then we'll have our formalized recording with show notes. We'll go out in a little bit to Spotify, Apple, and everywhere you get your podcasts. So thanks, everybody. It's just been really fun. Oh yeah. Did you see that Hamalama was tipping people with Degen who came and liked our channel? So thank you, Hamalama. Yeah.
Thank you.
Out of the blue. It was very nice. We appreciate that, Hamalama. So then I tipped Hamalama. So there you go. Farconomy. There it goes. Farconomy. All right, everybody. With that, we're going to call it here. It's been a blast. And we will see you. You will see me on Friday. You'll see Adrian in about a week or so, back after her vacay. We do want to shout out Octant really quick. Thank you, Octant, joining us as our new premier partner. Go check out the Degens and Dragons mints, and look for us to be sponsoring those mints so you can pick it up for free.
Can I just shout out Bar Lucid, who first told me about Octant?
Yes.
A while
thank
ago.
you, Bar Lucid.
So
yeah.
Thank you, Bar Lucid. I did not know about Octant before she told me about them, and they are doing really cool work. And I'm excited we'll get someone from Octant on our show to do a little interview, because, we only like to have partners that we find really interesting and cool, and that we think people would like. So I'm excited. We'll get that scheduled too, so you guys can learn more about what Octant's up to.
That'll be after you get back from vacay. Let's do that before FarCon. Would be great. And look for the cards that you're collecting are going to be a game. Don't know the full details yet. They haven't released that. They've kind of hinted at things when I've asked questions about things on the cards. I'm like, why does that say 16? They're like, can't tell you. So I'm excited to see what they do with these. It'll be really fun. And with that, everybody, we are going to call it. So have a lovely Wednesday. I'll see you back here on Friday. If you're new to the feed, go check out our other videos. You can check out any of the playlists, get caught up, check out some of our fun interviews. And with that, we will see you. Bye-bye.